Welcome everyone to Make QuickBooks Work for You by Hector Garcia, CPA. You can download the slides using the link that's right there on the top right of the slides. And the content for today would be basically we're going to cover 5 things. One, we're going to have a quick run through of every version of QuickBooks Online so you can pick the right version of QuickBooks Online that works best for your business. 2, I'm going to teach you how to automate certain aspects of bank classification, bank transaction classification. I want you to fall in love with the QuickBooks Online bank feeds process. 3, we're going to talk about tags. You will know more or less how to use tags to get information quickly out of QuickBooks and get maybe reports or data insights out that you couldn't with regular reporting tools. 3rd, we're going to talk about understanding your business better with customizing reports. So we're going to run through a couple of examples of customizing reports. And 5, we're just going to talk about some other resources you can look at to master QuickBooks Online. And we'll have a couple of Q&A questions we can leave open if you want. So let's jump right to it. Let's start with picking the right version of QuickBooks for you. So when you go purchase QuickBooks for the very first time, and you're going to be presented with 4 options: QuickBooks Online Simple Start, QuickBooks Online Essentials, QuickBooks Online Plus, and QuickBooks Online Advanced. There's a possibility, depending on when and how you connect to the QuickBooks Online website, that you will also see self-employed. So I don't sell self-employed. I don't work with self-employed. I don't recommend self-employed. Self-employed is not within the radar of things I consider something that deems the QuickBooks name. QuickBooks Self-Employed is a product that QuickBooks sells, and it is something that you might end up having to deal with or work with. Okay, so that being said, let's talk about the different versions between them. So we have a range between QuickBooks Online Simple Start and QuickBooks Online Advanced. Simple Start, $25 a month, Advanced $180. Why is there such a big price difference? How does that work? Let's run through it. So QuickBooks Online Simple Start, and I'm not mentioning everything that it has. I'm just going to highlight. So if you need a program that can do estimates, that can do invoices, that can manage sales tax, that you can enter checks and print checks, track expenses, credit card charges, track your bank expenses and bank income through bank feeds, and use tags, all of these features are going to allow you to do basic financial reports for your business. And you're going to have up to 1 user connect to it. So if this is all you need, this is fine. $25 a month, buy you all those features. If you actually need more than 1 user, let's say you need 2 users or 3 users, and on top of that, you want to track accounts payable. These are your bills. These are the invoices that your vendors send you, so you can track your future cash flow of money coming out. So if you are going to be needing that, you're going to have to move up to Essentials. You also get time tracking with Essentials. You get multi-currency with Essentials, and a couple of little features here and there that might not be worth mentioning. I don't want to confuse you too much. But if you find yourself in a situation where you want to track accounts payable, bills that you need to pay, bills that you owe to vendors, including the electronic payment of those bills, using Melio, which is an integrated app, and time tracking and up to 3 users, that's where you look at upgrading to Essentials. Now, if you, on top of that, need to do project profitability, you need to do profitability by job. You need to know which deal made you money, which deal made you lose money. You know, what type of projects are you making profit on? You definitely want to move into Plus. You're also going to have the ability to track inventory. It's not in the slides here, but I think I should mention here too. We have class and location tracking, and we might not have time to cover those today. And then we also have budget. Sorry, I should have covered those in there, but we have, on top of tracking inventory, we have class, location tracking, budgets, and that gives you up to 5 users. So for that, you're going to be using Plus. Okay. Now, if you find yourself in a larger business that has a need to have more than 5 users accessing QuickBooks Online, QuickBooks Online Advanced gives you up to 25 users. It comes built in with Fathom HQ, which is a third-party reporting app that allows you to do a lot more reports that QuickBooks Online can do by itself. You can also have customize your user access by role. So you can have a user that only does sales and only enters expenses. That way you can limit the general areas they have access to. You can also do a backup and restore of a company file, which means that if you want to do a backup before you make any major change to your company file, you'll be able to do that backup. And if something goes wrong, you can restore it and go back to where you were. You can also do invoice batching. So if you're going to invoice 50 people at the same time, and all the invoices look relatively the same, you can do that in one click. It's pretty cool. You can have custom fields, up to 48 custom fields. Pretty amazing, including drop-down menu, value only, date only custom fields. And I do have some videos on YouTube that explain that. There's a lot of nuance in terms of how that works. And custom report builder, which is the ultimate custom report building tool in the QuickBooks Online world. So if you find yourself with any of these needs, then you definitely want to look at QuickBooks Online Advanced. Okay, so that should cover the different versions of it. If you find yourself wanting to buy QuickBooks or recommend QuickBooks after watching this webinar, definitely use the link that's on the slides. Now I'm going to click on that link to show you what the page looks like. This is a QuickBooks page. You're not buying from me, you're buying from QuickBooks directly, but it is my affiliate link, which means, yes, I get paid by Intuit when someone signs up for that link. But other than getting paid to do it, I'm recommending it also because it gives you a discount. When you use this link to purchase QuickBooks Online, we're going to scroll down here so you can see it. You're going to see a discount for 12 months, 30%. So for example, QuickBooks Online Simple Start goes down to $17.50 for 12 months. QuickBooks Online Advanced goes down to $126 for 12 months. Again, 30% discount for 12 months. If you were not using this link and you were going to go to QuickBooks.com directly, or you go to surf the QuickBooks website directly, when you go purchase QuickBooks, I'm going to scroll down here to plans and pricing, you're going to get a 50% discount, which seems like a bigger number, but it's only 3 months. And it's or a free trial. So you can either do a free trial at the 50%, and it's only 3 months. So I would strongly recommend, again, because I think that my deal is better, you get 30% for 12 months, plus you can get a free trial on top of that. So I think it's the best deal in town. If you're going to buy QuickBooks after watching this video, or because you watched this video, you'll use the link that's right there in the description and on the slides. I would appreciate it. Helps support my cause and helps get you or someone you recommend a better deal. Anyway, let's move on to the sort of the meat and potatoes, which is how do I help you fall in love with QuickBooks? So the way I help you fall in love with QuickBooks is to convince you that QuickBooks Online will save you a lot of time compared to competitors or even compared to QuickBooks Desktop. QuickBooks Online has the most powerful bank feed platform out there. So when you connect your banks and your credit cards, you'll be able to really, really quickly download that information. So let me show you how that works. So I'm going to go ahead and log into my QuickBooks Online, and I'm logged into a QuickBooks Online test file that I use to do demonstrations. This is what QuickBooks Online looks like if you've never seen it before. When you go into banking, and actually, I do want to mention one more thing. Here in the gear menu, there's something called Business View and Accountant View. And I do want to mention this because back when I used to create videos, it used to be pretty straightforward, to showcase how QuickBooks works. But sometimes the menu on the left-hand side may say transactions instead of banking. It may look completely different. It may be like a sort of a collapsed, smaller letter, black navigation bar. It may not look exactly like mine. And I'm just letting you know that you can switch between Accountant View and Business View. So if you find yourself watching this video and following along with your QuickBooks next to it, and the left navigation bar doesn't look identical, that's probably because you need to switch to Accountant View to make it look just like mine. Again, that's in the gear menu. You're going to see a button that says switch to business view and to accountant view. Anyway, we're going to click on banking or transactions and then click on banking. And this is where we're going to see all of our bank accounts are connected. Right now, I have PayPal account connected. I have a Chase account connected. I have a Chase credit card connected. I have a Bank of America account connected. I have a Amazon account connected. So as you can see, Amazon credit card, by the way. So you can see all sorts of accounts are being connected and transactions are being downloaded. So I'm going to click here on my Amex Amazon, which is a regular American Express credit card. This happens to have the Amazon name on it. And we're going to see all the transactions that were downloaded through this credit card. Basically, what you're seeing here is every single transaction that I did using that credit card. I'm going to click update here so we get the latest and newest transactions. And this is what you're going to see, everything, basically all the money that I spent with that credit card. So now, in a traditional accounting mechanism where we don't have the banks connected, you would have a bank statement in your hand, right? And that bank statement would have a whole bunch of transactions in it. And then you would sit there and enter every one of those transactions by hand after reading them from your credit card statement. When you download things through the bank directly, you get to see them in QuickBooks prior to enter them, and you can save tons of time entering that data. Now, right now, we see a whole bunch of information that some of it is readable, some of it is not. For example, you see this thing called Food Hall Flushing. Okay, that was the restaurant inside of the New York airport. I know that, but you might be looking at that and not really know what that is. And that's the challenging part of accounting and bookkeeping. It's you're looking at a bunch of stuff and you're like, what is this? What should this be? So a couple of things. One, here in the gear menu on the top right, there's a really important feature that's called Show Bank Details. If I uncheck Show Bank Details, QuickBooks is going to attempt to clean up my vendor list, and it's going to give me possibly a easier to read version of those vendors and those payees. Is it perfect? No, it's not. But it might help you. Like, for example, you see this one called Microsoft. If I were to see the original memo, it's this whole bunch of stuff that's in it. So again, it depends on how the stuff downloads from the bank. Sometimes it helps for QuickBooks to do the cleaned up version of it. Sometimes it helps to see the entire piece contextually. So if I select this option, again, I'm going to click on the gear menu that says Show Bank Details, and I uncheck that, you're going to get QuickBooks' version of a cleaned up payee list or a cleaned up vendor list, or it's going to attempt to clean up some of them or most of them. Okay. Okay. Sorry about that. And if I don't select that, if I don't leave that option and click on Show Bank Details, I get the raw information that's coming from the bank. Okay. All right. So I'm going to switch to different account just to kind of just switch it up, show you different things. Let me show you transactions that were downloaded from this bank account. For example, this is the same payee, money coming in and money coming out. So this is something called Intuit Payment Solutions, which is what I use to accept credit card payments. So when the customer pays me, it's got the same payee, Intuit Payment Solutions, and here's the dollar amount. And then when I get charged the fee, the credit card fee, the money comes out 1703. So we can actually automate some of this data entry by knowing contextually what these payees mean and also whether the money is coming in or coming out. So normally I would have to sit there and categorize each of these one by one in order to get that information loaded into QuickBooks. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to show you something called bank rules. And what bank rules do is allow me to recategorize a transaction automatically based on what information that's coming from the bank. So I'm going to create one rule that categorizes all the Intuit Payment Solutions of money coming out to a merchant fee. And I'm going to use a different rule that categorizes the money coming in to some other income account, just so you can kind of see the context there. So I'm going to go to rules. I'm going to go to new rule, and I'm going to call this Intuit Payment Solutions in, and I'm going to create one rule for money coming in and one rule for money coming out. So when the money comes in and it says Intuit Payment Solutions, right now, just to simplify things, I'm going to call this bank text and put here Intuit. So I'm just going to simplify it and just call this Intuit. So anything that has the word Intuit in it, I'm going to send it straight to an income account. I'm going to send this straight to an income account called, let's go into my sales account. It should be here somewhere. Okay. I'm going to put it into, let's say, this one called materials income. Okay. So let's say that's the category that I want all my customers that pay me with credit cards to come in through. Now, there's a whole bunch of long conversations we can have about matching payments with invoices. We're going to get to that in a second. For now, we're assuming that we're not doing invoices and we don't need to match these things. So for payee, I'm just going to call this Intuit payments income or something like that. And I'm creating a payee called Intuit payments income, just so it's very easy for me when I'm looking at the reports and looking at the income. I can see the source of where the income is coming from. Okay, let me just make sure that I get selected. Intuit payments income, there it is. Okay, and I'm going to uncheck auto add for now. I wonder why it keeps doing that. Let me just try this again. Intuit payments income. Okay, there it is. Okay, I keep clicking too fast. And I want to uncheck auto add for now. I do want to add one more little comment here. You can also automatically set up a class, a location, a memo, a tag. We're going to get there in a little bit. I'm just showing you how things get automated into your bookkeeping. So I'm going to click on save. Then I'm going to go back into banking. And you're going to notice here, I'm going to collapse the left navigation bar. You're going to notice here that this transaction that says Intuit Payment Solutions of money coming out gets automatically via a bank rule categorized to income and materials income. So at this point, I don't have to think about it anymore. QuickBooks did it for me. He highlighted it green. So I know that this came from an automated rule. And at this point, all I have to do is click on add and boom, it gets added into my books. Done. Okay. What about the second one? I have to assign a payee and a category for this. So I'm going to create another rule. It's going to be a similar rule. I'm going to go back into rules here. Go back to my Intuit rule for a second. I'm going to click on the drop-down menu. This is what I love about the rules is I can copy the rule. And this one I'm going to call out, right? Standing for money coming out. And I'm going to leave the rule the exact same thing. But instead of it being money in, it's money coming out. And this is going to be an expense. But the category on this is going to be merchant fee. Okay, so merchant account fees. And the payee in this case will be Intuit payments. I'm using a vendor this time. So I've sort of created as a customer and a vendor. And whether it's an expense context or an income context, it would use that payee. And then I'm going to click on save. So I created both rules. One applies to money coming in. The other one applies to money coming out. It's awesome. I go back into banking here. And now you're going to notice that now this transaction gets automatically categorized. Again, easy peasy. Just click add, done. Now, what does that do? Well, I'm going to pull up my profit and loss report. So I'm going to go to reports. And I'm going to go down to my profit and loss report. And I'm going to do just January. Okay, so I'm running a profit and loss report only for January. Click on run reports. And I should see the materials income for $28.50 that came from my bank automatically in there in that income account. And then I should see my merchant account fees somewhere here. There you go. Merchant account fees. In this case, it says $215. If I click on that $215, I should see the $17 I entered here together with other things I had entered in the past. So that should give you an idea very clearly on what is the benefit of using banking and automating some of the banking. I'm going to show you one more thing. It's pretty cool. I'm going to switch back, let's say, to my American Express account. And what I'm going to do at this point is I'm going to click here where it says in the gear menu. I'm going to click on turn on grouping. It's really, really cool. So we're going to turn on the grouping. And then I'm going to click this. I'm going to group this by description. And what this is going to do is it's going to group all my transactions based on a common vendor. Okay, so for example, this huge list you see here, and let me expand the screen a little bit so you see a little bit more. This huge list here, 177 are my Amazon transactions. Apparently, I spent a lot of money in Amazon. I can collapse that, and inside there's 177 Amazon transactions. It's pretty awesome. And then in there, I could categorize them all in one shot if I want to, or I can create a rule that says, look, anything that's under $50, that's probably personal. Categorize that as personal. Anything that's over $50, let's put it in, ask Hector or something. That way I know how to go back and double check those transactions. So I'll show you how that will work. So I'm going to click on just one of them just to show you. I'm going to click on just one of them. And then from here, I'm going to click on create rule. So it's all happening within the transaction. Create rule. That's going to open up the rule list automatically. I'm going to call this Amazon under 50. Okay. And I'm going to put here, bank text has the word Amazon on it. And we're going to automatically categorize that as, let's say, personal. Okay. Let's say, again, we're making the assumption everything Amazon under 50 is personal. Not necessarily accurate or not. I'm going to do that. And then I'll delete the memo here because I don't want the memo to be overridden. I want the natural memo of every transaction to remain. So I'm going to remove the memo. So a little bit of a life hack there. Remove the memo so it doesn't overwrite every memo with whatever you have in there. Okay. You could go here, it says add this to memo and put here hashtag auto added or something like that. And you'll see in a second what I mean by that. It's actually pretty interesting. And then, okay, perfect. So I'm going to put that into personal and I'm going to click here, it says auto add. So that way I'm telling myself and telling QuickBooks that, hey, if the Amazon transaction under 50 comes in, just send it to personal. Maybe I'll look into it later or whatever, but I'm just accepting the fact that they're going to be all to personal. I have to add one more condition, which is the amount has to be less than, in this case, I'll put $50. Yeah, $50. Perfect. So I'm going to click on save. So I created a rule that QuickBooks will automatically sweep through all my transactions that contain the word Amazon in it that are under $50. It's going to send it to the vendor Amazon. It's going to send it to my personal expenses. And it's going to add that little hashtag at the end. That was magic. That was amazing. Let me show you what that looks like in the real world. So I'm going to go into my balance sheet. Okay. And I'm going to look at my balance sheet. And then I'm going to go down to my personal expenses transactions. Click on that. And I'm just going to select all dates here for a second. We'll go back and do reports in a second. And notice that all my transactions from Amazon are here. These are just really long descriptions. And notice right there at the very end, it has hashtag auto added in it. Hector, why would you even spend time, adding that auto hashtag in it? Well, maybe I have other transactions here that are not related to automatic transactions. What's really cool about this is I can go to customize, go to filter, go down to my memo, and I can put here hashtag auto and click on run report. And then it's only going to show me the ones that contain hashtag auto in the memo. I mean, that's like beyond the life hack. I mean, that's one of the really crazy, awesome things you can do in QuickBooks Online is add these hashtags to transactions to be able to sort of see them in a very specific or particular way. While the report loads, let me go back into banking one more time so we can go back and take a look at other aspects of automation in the banking side. I'm going to show you one more. So let's say, for example, these other ones that are Amazon, notice that it suggested personal expenses, but it didn't enter them. And the reason it did that is because we didn't set up an automatic rule. We can actually have all that stuff go to some other category that I can create on the fly. So for example, let's go ahead and create a rule for this. So we're going to go to create rule and we're going to call this Amazon over 50. And then I'll add one more amount here, and we'll do greater than 49.99 in this particular case, because we did 50 as the other one. I'm gonna put here bank text. And then here in the category, let's put here ask my accountant. Okay, that's fine, ask my accountant, that's good. And then I'm gonna delete the memo. Okay, and then on the hashtag, I'll put there ask or something like that. See how I'm just, not on the tags, sorry. Let me click on ask more. Here in the memo, I'm gonna put hashtag ask and then click on add this to the memo. You're gonna see how that's actually a pretty interesting way of kind of seeing this workflow. So these are all my Amex transactions over $50. They're going to the Amazon payee, straight to ask my accountant. I'm adding a little hashtag to it. Click on save. That's now gonna save like hundreds of transactions in there. And then I'm gonna show you another way you can search that hashtag, which is pretty cool. So I'm gonna go here under, I'm gonna go here under the magnifying glass, and then I'm gonna click where it says advanced search. I'm gonna click on advanced search, and then I'm gonna click here all transaction lines, and then I'm gonna click here memo, and then I'm gonna put here hashtag ask, and then click on search, and now you'll be able to see all those transactions that have that hashtag next to it. Pretty awesome. And I haven't even shown you tags. Tags is another really cool way you can do this, but I'm just showing you how you can use banking and automation to add hashtags to stuff and be able to find things super quicker. As a matter of fact, before tags came out, this was my tags. This was my makeshift task, and I still see some value on adding tags, especially for automatically created transactions. Okay, so I'm gonna go into my profit and loss report, just so you can see, run a regular run-of-the-mill profit and loss report, and then we go down to my ask my accountant transactions. So let's see if we can find them. Let me zoom in so you can see a little bit better. There's ask my accountant, $24,000 worth. Click on that, and then you'll be able to see, I'm gonna zoom out so you can see a little bit more. You'll be able to see all the transactions that have been put into ask my accountant. Hopefully you have an accountant to ask about this. If you're a small business owner, you definitely want to partner with an accountant. If you are an accountant yourself, then that's the stuff that you're going to go back and research later on. Okay. All right. Let's go back into banking one more time. Let's say, make sure we're not forgetting anything important. I'm going to switch to a bank account. We'll switch to a bank account. I'm going to show you one more thing. Let's take a look at, let's say, money coming in. So I'm going to click here, this amount, and then see if we see any money coming in. So for example, we have this payment coming in for $19,586.75. So let's say that money, I don't want to categorize it as sales. What I want is to match 3 invoices associated with that money coming in. So I'm going to create 3 invoices just so you can kind of see how cool this is. I'm going to create one invoice to, let's say, this customer, and I'll pick an item here, and let's say this was a $10,000 invoice, and this invoice is from, let's say, August. So I'm just going to click on save, and then I'm going to create one more invoice, so a new invoice, save a new invoice for an entirely different customer. We'll pick one customer there at random, select an item here, and let's say this one is for $587.57. Let's say this invoice is from July, for example. Click on save, and then I'll create, go to save a new, create one more invoice, let's say for $9,000. That way the sum of the 3 basically get added together. So we'll pick one more, $9,000, and let's say this one is from September. Okay, so we got 3 invoices with 3 different dates, 3 different dollar amounts that are the combination that make up this deposit for $19,000 that came in. With QuickBooks and bank reconciliations and automation, what you don't want is to click on add and add that into sales or something like that, because those invoices will stay open. What you want to do is you want to match the invoices with the deposit that's coming in. So we're going to click on find match. And what that's going to do is that's going to search within your system of transactions and figure out what combination of transactions will get you there. So I'm going to come in here and click on open invoices, and I'm going to bring this back maybe a couple of months. That way we're only looking at open invoices. And then once we start, let's just go back a couple of months here. Once we start looking at a date range of invoices, whoops, this thing is not selecting the date correctly. Let's do June through October. Okay, then you can start selecting, okay, this 10,000 plus the 586 plus the 9,000 put together, these three together add up to the 19,586.57. And once I add these three together, we have a difference of 0. And the difference of 0, it's a perfectly reconciled deposit to the underlying invoices. Then we click on save, and then we'll not have any duplication. If I click here in the magnifying glass to see my recent transactions, and I want to look at any of those transactions, for example, this one for 9,000 that I just looked at, you're going to see that there's a payment made, and it automatically creates the payment. So I come back to the payment, and then when I look at the payment, you'll automatically deposit it into my bank account, and also it'll automatically clear them for me. Let me show you what that means. So when I go do my reconciliation, I'm going to go to reconciliation, and I'm going to select that bank account in there. I'm going to see my deposits, and let's go back and look at those deposits here. So we're going to look at only deposits in this particular case. I should see all. And oh, that wasn't the right bank account. Sorry. Let me go back. I'm looking at the wrong bank account here. This was the Bank of America one. So I'm going to go to resume reconciling, then go into my deposits. We're going to take a look at the deposits here for a second. And somewhere in the July area, you're going to see that those deposits are going to be in the banking automatically. So we're going to go to July, or that was a September transaction. There it goes. These are September transactions. So right here, we got 3 September transactions deposited on 9/29. Notice that the 3 amounts, 9,586 and 10,000, are already in my bank account, and they're already what's called auto reconciled. Originally, when I went into my reconciliation screen, the reconciliation typically will get dated as of the last statement date. Right now, the next thing I'm going to reconcile should be January, because it last reconciled when this one was December. When you download all the transactions from the bank and you go through this process, automatically classifying, automatically bank rules, automatically, but not automatically, but going through the process of matching, there shouldn't be any additional work you need to do when reconciling your bank accounts. And the reconciliation process should be pretty seamless, and you should get to these 0 differences basically automatically. So you can click on finish now and reconcile the bank super fast. That's what we meant by automating. We're going to download the things from the bank. We're going to create new ones, match with existing ones, go to reconcile, boom, all in one shot. Okay, so that was bank rules and batching and matching. That gives you a general idea for what that is. I think, honestly, that the biggest value proposition that QuickBooks has is being able to do those things: bank rules, categorization, batching, and matching. You learn those, you master those, and your QuickBooks Online experience will enhance tenfold. Okay. Second, let's look at tags. Tags is one of my favorite features inside QuickBooks Online, particularly and specifically because it's available across all versions of QuickBooks Online. It's one of those really powerful features that you can see throughout all of QuickBooks Online, just like banking. Banking is available in the $25 a month Simple Start. Banking is available in the $180 a month QuickBooks Online Advanced, and it works the exact same way. Tags work the same way. So let's talk about tags. Let's go back into QuickBooks Online here. We're going to click on the gear menu, top right, and then we're going to click on tags to give you a general idea how tags work. Now, in this company file already created, I've done so many examples of tags. For example, I created a tag group called country, and I tagged for Canada, France, Mexico, other, Spain. I created a tag group for pickup versus delivery. I created a tag group for salesperson, Alicia versus Hector. A tag group for source, like basically where the customers are coming from. Let's call it that. Are they coming from a magazine, referral, website? A tag group for supervisor. Maybe we have a supervisor assigned to a project or a deal. I have a tag for type of sale. I have what's called ungrouped tags, which are just a tag for the month or whether it's a sale or not, or I sold something on sale, or the year. So you can create loose tags or you can create grouped tags. So let's do a couple of loose tags. Let's say I'll create a new tag here called personal. So I'm just going to create a tag called personal. So basically what I want to do is I want to tell myself that this is a personal expense, but I don't want to categorize it under personal. I want to categorize it under a regular category. Now let's not discuss the tax implications of that. I'm just saying I want to tag something personal even though I'm using a regular business category for it. What does that mean? So let's say, for example, I went to the gym. So I'm going to go to expense here, and I'm going to put here Gold's Gym. Okay. And for whatever reason, I want to put that Gold's Gym into utilities. Okay. Again, not accurate, but I want to put it under utilities, and it was $50. And that's it. I'm categorizing as a business expense on utilities, but I want to know more or less what's the stuff that's personal. Okay, so I'm just going to tag it personal, just to give you just one crazy idea on what you can do with tags. So I did that there. Click on save and close. So what does that allow me to do? Well, if I go to my profit and loss report, it's like a regular profit and loss report, and I'm looking at my profit and loss, and let's do all dates here. And I'm looking at my utilities, and there's a whole bunch of transactions in there. Well, in this case, that only happens to be one, and that might be a different utilities account. Let me go down to maybe a different utilities account. There it is. Okay, this one has $813 in it. It's a whole bunch of utilities in there. How would I know that this is personal? Well, I would click on it, and I would be able to see that tag in it. It makes it very, very easy and simple. Okay, so far, let me check to see if there's any questions on any of the stuff that we have covered before. So I'm going to go into the questions box and see what questions you might have. Yeah, I don't see any active questions. So let's resume with what the next question would be. Is like, Hector, can I see a list of transactions by tag? The answer is yes. So we're going to click on the gear menu again, click on tags, and then we can scroll down here, see where it says personal. It says here one transaction. So if I click there on one transaction, it gives me a list of all the transactions that were tagged as personal. Again, it's just an example. Using a personal tag might not be, especially as a CPA, I should be careful about using examples like this. I'm just showing you this is completely open. You can do with it whatever you want. Let's do something that would make more sense, like tracking, let's say, commission. Okay, sales commission that we're going to pay to a salesperson. So I'm going to go into creating a new invoice. I pick my customer here at random. Let's say we sell that customer materials for $10,000, or let's say $1,000, easier. And then the sales rep on this deal, which we're going to use tags in this case, is Alicia. So I'm going to put here Alicia. So Alicia sold this for $1,000. This sales rep drop-down menu you see here, that's only available in advance with custom fields. So right now I'm showing you tags, which is available across all versions, and it would be redundant to have them in tags and as the custom field. I'm just saying, just focus on tags for a second. So there's Alicia. I'm going to click on save. And then I'm going to do save and new. So let's do a save and new. And then pick a different customer here. And let's do a different sale. let's say of 7,000. And let's say we're going to choose Hector as our salesperson for this one. And then we're going to click on save and close. So what's really neat about tags is I can go back into my tags report here, and I can choose my tag groups. So I can choose supervisor, I can choose salesperson, and I get a quick graph that tells me who's got what, right? In case of that tag, how many transactions are being booked to that tag in money in only. I can also do it for money coming out. So I can come back here and select, in this case, salesperson, and I can see all the money coming out by tag. So there's nothing there now. But if I go to, let's say I'm going to enter a bill, and I'll pick just a vendor here at random, and let's say we're gonna have some advertising and marketing, and let's say that's $6,800, and that goes against Alicia. Okay, so I'm creating an expense that has the same tag because I want to track it that way. I go back into my tag report, and boom, you see a graph letting me know how much money is tied to that tag on money coming out. I can also come down here and look at salesperson, click on the drop down menu, and I can see Alicia's got 5 transactions, Hector's got 4 transactions. I can click on any one of those and explore the specific transactions. If I notice that, you know what, this ABC customer, that's not Alicia's sale, that's Hector's sale. Easy. Come in here, click on update tags, go to add tag, and add Hector to it. And then you click on apply, and you replace the tag. Basically, really cool, fast, awesome tag reclassification. I go back in my tags, my numbers look different. I can also run standard reports by tag. So I'm going to click on reports, and then I'm going to search on the top right. I'm just going to type the word tag and do a P&L by tag. And then come here, it says ungroup tags, and select salesperson. Click on run report, and there we go. All my sales by Alicia, all my sales by Hector, and all the direct costs for that salesperson. Again, this is where you're going to let your imagination run wild. You can do whatever you want with tags. There are some restrictions worth mentioning. You can have a total of 300 tags in total. So a total of 300 tags, the most total number of tags that you can use. Okay, so something to consider there, very important. And you can create, I believe it's up to 40 tag groups. I have not even been able to, I haven't gotten to the point where I need more than 40 tag groups, but I think 40 tag groups is the limit. I honestly I never reached the limit, which is pretty interesting factoid there. Okay, so that's tags. There might be one more report under tags that I think I've covered. Let's go to tags here. Yeah, which is transaction list by tag group. Pretty cool. You click on that. And then what I can do is I can click on group by and click on salesperson, click on run report, and then go to dates, do all dates here for a second. Click on run report, and then you see all my sales and costs related to these tags. It's pretty cool. Okay, so I can see all of my transactions related to those tags, and I could filter it, show invoices only, for example. So I'm going to click on customize, go to filter, transaction type, and then I'm going to come down here and click on invoice, and then click on run. So then I got invoices only. I can also filter some more, go to customize, go to AR paid, select that and switch that to unpaid. And then all of a sudden, I only have unpaid invoices by salesperson. And that's where we come in here and we customize the report, right? We call it unpaid invoices by sales person. I put tag in parentheses just so I kind of know what's going on. And once I create the report, I click on save, customization, click on save. And now at any point in time, I don't have to click all these things to get there. I just go into reports. I go to custom reports, and I should see my custom report I just created right here, unpaid invoices by salesperson. I put tag in parentheses, just remind me that I'm using a tag. Click on that, and boom, my report gets created automatically. If any of those invoices get paid, it will come off the report because that's only unpaid invoices. I'm gonna come here and click on receive payment, and I'm gonna pay Ahmed's invoice. That was the $1,000 invoice. I'm gonna pay that just to show you. Once I receive the payment, it comes off the report, right off, okay? Because our report is only looking at open invoices. So that just gives you tons of visibility into just highly customizable reports. Okay, let's do one more thing, which is let's just take a look at reports as a whole, just custom reports as a whole. And we're gonna go back into QuickBooks Online and do a classic custom report that I create for my customers, which is a regular profit and loss. Regular profit and loss, but then I want to do, for example, the whole year, columns by quarter. Click on Run Report. So now I get a lot better dimension of data. Now, typically when I build a report that's going to be easy to read, I collapse the sub-accounts. You don't have to do that. I like to do that. Collapse the sub-accounts. Click on Sort and click on Total in descending order. So that's going to put the bigger number in the top, the smallest number in the bottom. And in some cases, I want to see some sort of comparisons. So I can click on Compare to another period. I can compare it with the previous period and do, let's say, for example, a percentage change. That's going to get a little complicated because you're going to see, now 8 columns of data. But you can start comparing back to back, which numbers are going up, which numbers are going down. Something you can do to not make it that confusing is when you have multiple quarters in a year, for example, just do percentage of income. That's a great report to do. Click on Run Report, and that would allow you to see the quarter and the percentage of income next to it, the quarter percentage of income next to it, and you can actually start measuring your gross profit quarter over quarter and see which quarters are better than others. Maybe you can see your payroll expenses. Quarter 1 was 35% of your sales. Quarter 2 was 50% of your sales. That's what you can start looking, what's going on? Is there a trend? Why is my payroll going up? Why is my payroll going down? That sort of thing. These reports are extremely valuable. You can do by month instead of by quarter. At this point, if you're going to have that many columns in it, you will probably get rid of the percentage comparison. Click on Run Report. Okay, and then you would see a trend. So what's going on with my sales month over month? What's going on with my expenses month over month? This is why I like to group or sort in descending order, because I want the biggest number in the top. The number I'm mostly focused around analyzing is usually going to be the biggest number. So that's why I'm kind of focused on that number first. And of course, I'm tracking my profitability month to month and trying to figure out what's going on. Typically, because for non-accountants, it's very difficult to know whether this stuff is accurate or not. When you see something like this, where 1 month you have negative 300,000, another month we have positive 20,000, another month positive 495, that's a red flag. Something's wrong, right? So that's something to just keep in mind, that typically businesses have certain level of consistency, especially in today's world where most of your services are monthly subscription of some sort, right? So the expenses tend to be pretty fixed. You're looking for consistency. That's the type of stuff that you're looking at in order to avoid reporting things wrong, having duplicates, that sort of thing. So automating your bank feed, reconciling your bank account is your first layer of defense. Analyzing your reports in a month or quarter and seeing some sort of consistency will be your second layer of defense. Another one that's worth looking at is, for example, let's say I want to look at last month. I'm going to do last month here. Click on Run Report. So I see my profit and loss for the last month. And then next to it, I can do year to date. I love this. This is pretty cool. So you can actually see, where my last month stands compared to my year to date. Let me just close that out here and click on Run Report. So I can see what my September looks like, what my entire year up to September looks like. It's pretty awesome. So you got all sorts of flexibilities that you can do when customizing the reports, and you can do all sorts of really fun things. So I'm going to show you one more resource that I think is really valuable for you to look at, which is a couple of resources really. So one's going to be my 80-minute QuickBooks Online tutorial. That's right there on the slides. It's about 80 minutes. I go into pretty detailed length on all the things that you should learn on QuickBooks to get started. I have a almost 2-hour bank feeds tutorial. When I said earlier that an hour and 40 minutes. Okay. So when I said earlier that QuickBooks bank feeds is the most powerful thing in the QuickBooks world, I wasn't kidding. And I made an hour-and-a-half video to prove to you that it is really, really powerful. So you can go to the entire video, and it walks you through all the little ins and outs of banking, matching, and categorization. So you definitely want to check those. And then I have an account on reconciling the bank account, just because reconciling the bank account is sort of the number one thing that my customers ask for me to do. So when people know how to reconcile the bank account, and again, you might need a bookkeeper, an accountant for that, because at that point it might be too much for you if you're a small business owner. But it's a good thing to learn that process. So I think those 3 videos, in my opinion, are probably the best thing to get started with. And again, I want to reiterate that if you are going to set up a new QuickBooks Online account, definitely use that link. It helps my channel, helps my activities, and we'll leave it open for Q&A. Let's see what questions we have here. So at this point, any questions you have, you can post them right there on the chat box, and I can answer any questions. You can raise your hand. I can allow you to talk even if you want to. But what questions do you have for me? QuickBooks questions, accounting questions, whatever.
And after there was one in the chat that said, how should I apply payment for expenses that my customer reimbursed me?
Okay, yeah, it's a good question. So the question is, my customer is reimbursing me for some sort of expense. So the classic example would be shipping, right? I had to overnight some documents to my customer, and I'm going to charge them to get paid on that. Okay, so let's do the first transaction. Let's say that we have an expense transaction that we are paying from let's do FedEx. Okay, FedEx, and I'm paying that from my Chase account, and I'm gonna put this under maybe postage. Okay, I have an account called postage and delivery, and I'm gonna put here overnight docs. And let's say that cost me $27.89. If you're working with QuickBooks Online Essentials or Simple Start, this is where it stops. You enter the expense, and that's it. And then you have to invoice you have to invoice it, whether you're making money or not, doesn't really matter. So I'm gonna date this August 30th, 2021 for a specific purpose. I'm hoping there isn't that many transactions on that day. So I'm gonna expense it $27.89. Click on Save and Close. And I'm gonna invoice my client. So I'm gonna go to create an invoice. And I'm probably gonna create a generic item. Okay, I'm gonna create a service item called client reimbursements. Okay, and we're gonna tie that to any income account. So we can put that into just a generic sales account. If you want to create a reimbursement account, that's fine. Typically not worth it. Just put it into a generic income account. And then we click on Save and Close. And let's say that we're going to charge our client a little bit over that. So I'm going to put 35 and put a description, overnight document. Okay. And I'm not going to charge tax on that. Click on Save and Close. So I'll make sure I select my customer here. So let's say is Ahmed. I'll click on Save and Close. What does that look like in my profit and loss? This is when you're trying to get reimbursed from a particular expense. I'm going to go into reports. And I'm just going to do a P&L just so you can see it. And we're going to limit this to August 30th, 2021. Whoops. And click on Run Report. Okay. And there's my sale for $35. And there's my postage for $27.89. Pretty clear. So for the question about how do I deal with my client reimbursements, this is one way of doing it. I'm going to show you two ways. There's one way of doing it. This is going to be the preferred way of doing it if you are adding a margin to it. So you're going to put your top dollar in the sales and then your cost in the bottom. If you're not putting a margin to it, if you're going to get reimbursed 1-to-1, then what I would have done is I would tie that item to postage and delivery so it zeroes out. What does that mean? So let's say you're not making any money on that reimbursement. So I'm going to create another item here just to show you. I'm just going to make it a little bit different. I'm going to call it reimbursements. So notice I'm making it slightly different. And I'm going to make it a service. And just to make it more specific, I'm going to call it shipping reimbursements. And then under income account, I'm going to use my postage and shipping account, which is the same account that I used when paying for it. Okay, so I'm using it as an account where it's just going to move through, right? So and that was a 27.96. Forget what it is. That might be wrong, which is fine. That will illustrate the difference anyway. So click on Save and Close. So if I use an item that points to an expense account, instead of seeing the top dollar amount, and let me put this to August 30th again. Click on Run Report. Okay, I used slightly different accounts, but this is a good example. So I use shipping and postage instead of postage and delivery. I just happen to have two in my chart of accounts. But if I would have used the same, these things would have netted out with a 7-cent difference, or whatever that difference is. So hope that answers your question. Are there any other questions around QuickBooks? I charge a lot of money to sit down with someone and answer QuickBooks questions. So I would love for you to take advantage of this time and ask me any additional questions. Okay, if there is no additional questions, again, I'm going to put my email address here on the screen. If you have any questions where you think I can point you in the right direction, just email me. As I mentioned earlier, if you're going to sign up for a new QBO account, use the 30% discount for 12 months. It's going to be the best deal out there. All right, if we have no other questions, I'm going to go ahead and close this webinar. Thank you, everybody, for attending. I will email you a copy of the recording as soon as I have it posted.